by that now popular score. And with that, the Twins are now 2.5 games better than the Rangers. That could be important. These teams jockeying for home field advantage in that first round of the postseason. Again, the Rangers cruising towards a trip to the postseason right now, up 9. But the Twins will have to work a little harder. The starting lineups for the Texas Rangers, brought to you by Taco Bell, think outside the bun. Andrews and Young, Hamilton and Guerrero. Josh Hamilton had to leave the game early yesterday with a sore back. Says he's good to go today. Nelson Cruz has been on and off the DL 3 times. Kinsler on and off the DL twice. Mitch Moreland and Jeff Francoeur making his Ranger debut today. Benji Molina, the former Angel and Giant, is the catcher batting ninth. This game brought to you by Budweiser, official beer of the first inning. The beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, clean finish. Budweiser, it's what we do. And on a 68-degree afternoon here in Minneapolis, here is Carl Pavano going for win number 16.
And he's thrown well this year. He's run into a bit of a rut as of late. And, you know, there are a few things that he needs to iron out, needs to be effective. And we take a look at here on the scouting report, needs to add and subtract. What I mean by that, he throws about 50% fastballs. He's not going to blow you away, but he gets the hitter out front, gets him late, keeps him off balance, and watch out for Ian Kinsler. Absolutely wears out Pavano. 2 home runs against the big right-hander.
Now, this right-hander had an 8-1 at June and July, but he's only 2-4 since then. Coming off a tough loss against Seattle. He retired 14 straight at one point in that game. Now, yesterday, you mentioned this right at the top of the broadcast, Eric. They had to call up a 27-year-old who had never been in the big leagues before. Matt Fox, not on Fox. That would have been really cool promotionally, but he stepped in there. He was terrific.
Well, he did a great job. I mean, not only was he not on the team, but he wasn't even on the 40-man roster. They had to add him to the roster. He comes up because the situation was dire, gives them 5 2/3 innings, throws extremely well, and really, he allowed them to dodge a huge bullet after Thursday night's ball game.
He told reporters after the game yesterday, that's the most fun I've ever had on a pitcher's mound, anytime, any place. Andrews, Young, and Hamilton for the Rangers. 75 wins and 59 losses for these guys. Andrews takes a strike and we're underway. The Rangers' lead in the West has idled between 7 and 10 games now for 6 weeks. Another strike, and Pavano, when he's on, will carve up those corners. Pavano's 3rd in the American League in innings pitched. And he's tied for 4th in wins. This is probably his best season, EK, since that 18-win season he had for the Marlins 6 years ago. Chopped to 3rd. That's Tolbert over there today. Danny Valencia, the latest injury problem for the Twins. He had been playing a really nice third base, but tweaked a hamstring yesterday, so we'll see Tolbert.
And Tolbert gets the call today. He's only had about 50-some at-bats, and the thing about him, though, he's better defensively than any other alternative that the Twins have. Hopefully, for the Twins' sake, Valencia only out for a few days with that tight hamstring.
Michael Young, a 20-home-run season. He's behind 0-1.
You mentioned Pavano carving up those corners, throwing strikes, getting ahead of the hitter.
Bouncing ball pursued by Hudson. He cannot handle it. It's going to be a tough play to get him either way. Michael Young is safely across.
Well, not much Hudson can do right there. You see, he tries to catch it in a forehand manner so he can just transfer it and flip it over to first. If he backhands it, he's got to completely open himself up to make the throw. Probably a bit of a tougher play. When a guy has speed like Young, it's basically a do or die.
And now Josh Hamilton, who's our sprint player first profile man today, first in the majors in batting average by 26 points. We mentioned he left the game with a back spasm last night. Not a big deal. And the Rangers were very enthused to hear that because he's 22 for his last 49 at bats. Can one man be a comeback player of the year and the MVP in the same season, Eric?
Well, you're looking at him right here. I don't think that there's any question that he's the comeback player of the year.
Unless it's the guy on deck, Vladimir Guerrero.
You know, though, the thing about what Josh Hamilton has done this year, he's done it all year long. He had a bit of a struggle as compared to what he's doing now, but he plays offense, defense, and not to take anything away from Vladimir Guerrero, but Vladdy's basically been the DH.
And Hamilton has played a Gold Glove caliber left field for the Rangers. That's a position he really hadn't played before. He'd been a center fielder and a right fielder. And you kind of touched on it. He was never quite right in 09. Messed up swing, messed up head, injured body. Only 54 runs batted in after leading the league with 130 the year before. And now this year he's got a chance to be the first American League player in about 50 years with a 30-homer season and a batting average of .360. Hudson another try. Gets the one there. Hamilton does appear to be running okay. Beats out a fielder's choice. Young had reached officially on a hit, by the way, right before that.
No, Dog making a nice play. A good transfer. Gives Hardy a good feed. Not going to turn it with Hamilton hustling down the line. That's one thing about this Twins ball club. They lead the American League in defense. Pavano, he pitches to contact. He pitches quick, gets on the mound, keeps the defense involved.
Even Vladimir Guerrero says no thank you to that first one from Pavano. "99 runs batted in for Guerrero. Popped in a right, and that total stays at 99. The Rangers turned away. Colby Lewis on the mound. When we come back, there is no score. Those Chicago White Sox, though, they've already won once today. They'll play again tonight in Boston. The starting lineups for the Twins, brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Denard Span, a couple of hits yesterday, and some fine defense, too. Hudson and Kadire, Tomey and Young. You're probably saying, where the heck is Joe Mauer? Well, he's available off the bench today. Day off from Ron Gardenhire today. Drew Butera will be the catcher instead, batting ninth. And Colby Lewis trying for a ninth time, Eric Karros, to roll that odometer from 9 wins to 10. doesn't help that 7 of his last 8 games now have been against pitchers among the top 20 in the league in ERA.
Well, you know, he's happy that August is over. You just mentioned it. He went 0-4. Hitters hit .278 against him. But it wasn't so much his pitching as his offense didn't help him. In his last 8 starts when he was out there, the Rangers have only supplied him with 8 runs of support.
Span will take a strike. And, yeah, when you're facing Trevor Cahill twice and a bunch of other guys that are top 10 or top 20 in the league in ERA, your offense is going to be tamped down a little bit, and that's what's happened. And let's face it, these Rangers, who might face the Twins in the postseason at some point, well, they played them a total now of 8 times this year, Eric. They have not scored more than 4 runs in any of those games. Very consistently 3 or 4. Their last 7 games, they've hit one of those 2 numbers, but they just haven't been able to break through.
Well, I think it's really indicative of what's gone on from an injury standpoint as far as the Rangers are concerned offensively. Kinsler has been on the DL 2 separate stints. Cruz has been on there a couple times. Hamilton's, had some struggles to deal with his health. He's out here and there. And that's what Ron Washington just hopes that this last month he can get his team at full strength as he takes them into October.
Span is on to start things for Minnesota. That's one adjustment that Denard Span, I think, has made the last few years, Eric. It's made him one of the premium leadoff guys around. His willingness to sort through that junk mail and wait for his pitch before he swings.
Well, and you look out at his walk to strikeout ratio, it's almost 1-to-1. He had 51 walks versus 61 strikeouts coming into today, and that's a great ratio for a leadoff hitter.
Hudson 6 of 10 lifetime against Colby Lewis. Switch hitting second baseman. He is now 7 of 11 against Colby Lewis. And the Twins have it going on here right away. Michael Kadire coming up. A sprint player first for the Minnesota Twins. Kadire has had to play not just the customary outfield spot that he's accustomed to, but he's had to move in to play first base with Justin Morneau on the 60-day DL now.
Well, similar to what he did last year. Had to answer Morneau in September when Morneau struggled with some back ailments. Went on to finish 17-4 and win that Central Division. Forced a 1-game playoff.
Strike 1 to Michael Kadire. And that really is impressive what they did to close the season without Morneau last year. It's a nice rehearsal, I guess, for what they're probably going to have to do again.
Well, they're on the same sort of run since Morneau went down.
One hopper first base, Moreland to Lewis, and it works like a sacrifice. Runners at second and third now for Jim Thome.
Well, getting back to the thought, since Morneau has gone down, they were at second place when he suffered the concussion. Now in first place. Take a look at this. He missed his last 52 ball games, and look at that record, 33-19. And that's not to say that they're a better team or anything like that without Justin Morneau, because that would be absolutely ridiculous. But I think it's more a testament to Ron Gardenhire and the ball club that they've stepped it up.
Circling the wagons, I believe they call it.
Circling the wagons. That's a good analogy there, bud.
I'm 1 for 1 on analogies today. Jim Thome has one blown right by him, and Jim Thome, who's now 40 years old, has 582 career home runs.
See that pitch up and in, just ties him up. Couldn't get any extension. Leave that out over the plate, you'll be in trouble.
1 home run behind Mark McGwire on the all-time list. Just 4 behind Frank Robinson now. And Thome, who used to kill the Minnesota Twins in division for the Cleveland Indians, and then even for the White Sox for a bit. Now he is suiting up for Minnesota.
Well, and you can see what they're trying to do. They're trying to come in off the plate, hope that he offers at it, that he jams himself. Can't get any extension.
Took something off, and now 2 balls, 2 strikes. And told me another guy like Orlando Hudson with really good career numbers against Lewis. You know, Lewis almost was a Minnesota Twin, Eric. The Twins had some interest in signing him coming back from Japan. There was a bidding war of all things that developed between the Rangers, the Twins, and the A's for the services of a guy who, well, last time he pitched in the United States, his ERA was 7. Very unlikely bidding war. Gonna walk Jim Thome. Bases loaded. Delman Young coming up.
Well, I can understand you don't want to give in to Jim Thome, but Delman Young had a nice season so far this year. Almost a 370 clip with runners in scoring position. Been a lot more patient this year. He's been willing to go the other way, not try and jerk everything, not try to hit home runs. It's translated into a very nice season.
So far this year, when the going has gotten tough for Colby Lewis, that's when he's done his best work. Second best in the league with runners in scoring position. And again, going to the off-speed stuff.
Going to the off-speed, staying away. A gutsy pitch to throw 1-0 right there. The hitter usually doesn't have to offer. The hitter's in the power position there. Young offers at it, though.
Offers at this one, and he flares it into shallow right center field. Kinsler is back, making an over-the-shoulder catch. 2 down, and J.J. Hardy coming up. And again, Lewis has just had that knack this year for making big pitches when he's had to. Tying up a good hitter right there.
Well, he went away on all 3 pitches, and really, I think he used Delman Young's aggressiveness against him. None of those pitches really anything to go up and drive. Take a look at what we saw here. Starts out away off the plate and goes right back out there. Delman Young offers at it, and then he goes again. You know, none of those pitches, you know, are pitches that you really want to offer at when you're in the power position. You know, the pitcher's in trouble. Don't get him out of it by offering pitches that really aren't good ones to drive.
J.J. Hardy takes the strike. Hardy was batting 9th last night. Had a big base hit on an 0-2 count. It was a back-and-forth ball game yesterday. The Twins ended up rallying to win it 4-3. Leaving the all-time series between these franchises at Rangers 242, Twins 241. In for a strike, 1-2.
Lewis has done a nice job so far in staying off the middle of the plate. Been on both sides, corners.
Down and in this time. And again, situationally, when that noose gets tighter around the neck, Colby somehow breathes a little bit better.
Well, it's been interesting, the at-bat with Thome, the at-bat with Young, and now here with Hardy. Well, since he's been in trouble, there haven't been any good pitches to hit. He's thrown a number of pitches you would think that maybe one or two he'd make a mistake, leave something out over the plate. But to his credit, he's been corner, up, down. Nothing really good to hit.
Little bit in. As Alfonso Marquez calling balls and strikes today. It is a 3-2 count, bases loaded.
Looks like a tight zone today, a little different than what we saw last night. Bob Davidson behind the plate, definitely a pitcher's zone, but here it looks like you got to get it over the plate today if you want to strike.
All three runners will be in motion with a payoff pitch coming. We'll do it again. Lewis has a real good cutter that he refined in Japan. That has been his strikeout pitch. He's got the 8th most strikeouts in the league. We'll see an 8th pitch of this at bat with J.J. Hardy. Slammed into left center. Headed for the gap. J.J. Hardy delivers, and it bounces out. It's a double to chase in two. All three would have scored had the ball stayed in play, but it hit that rubberized warning track, bounced out. 2-0 instead of 3-0 here in the first inning.
No, you're exactly right there. That 3 runs would have scored. There it is. That's the first ball that was left over the heart of the plate. As I mentioned, Lewis had been corner to corner, but this, see, Molina has to go back over the middle of the plate. Hardy stays back and just drives it, doesn't try to do too much with it, doesn't try to be the hero, just hits it hard, gets great results.
Young, the third baseman, in a bit for Jason Repko. Second and third, 2 out.
See, looking to hit the outside corner of the plate. Lewis overthrows that. It's away from him a little bit, rushes up and in. You know, again, though, this first inning kind of represents what the Minnesota Twins are all about. J.J. Hardy gets the big hit after the other guys get on base. And contributions from everybody. Hardy hasn't swung the bat this well as of late.
Molina had to shift, vacuum it up. Well, and the Twins, I mean, let's face it, for years now, they have excelled at doing what they need to do, whatever the game dictates. You get the leadoff man to get a walk. Somebody's going to get a 2-out hit.
Well, it's the type of player that they have in Minnesota. I mean, not anybody can play in Minnesota.
All right, forward keys to the game. We'll get back to your point about the Minnesotan type in just a moment.
Well, for Texas, they just need to play smart baseball. I reference that because last night, Ron Washington wasn't happy with some of the cutoff relay, some of the base running. In Minnesota, we mentioned everybody contributes on this ball club, and they continue to get that. They will be in the postseason.
Repko, who was almost hit by the first pitch from Lewis, is hit on this one. The bases are loaded again. Mike Maddox will come out to talk to Colby Lewis.
Well, if you're going to get hit, that's the way you want to go as a hitter. Get a little graze of the shirt.
And EK, just back to your point about the Twins, obviously, for years, we talk about them as a small market team. They're now in a big market kind of a ballpark. They're going to get some revenue streams flowing now, but they've had to be fundamentally sound for years. They seldom make mistakes. And it's been that way since Tom Kelly was managing. We've got a TK disciple, Ron Gardenhire, has kept that precision and attention to detail very much alive.
Well, I think you're exactly right. And, not everybody plays quote-unquote fundamental baseball. I mean, there are some athletes in the big leagues that, look, they just go out and let it go. Well, those types of guys don't last very long in Minnesota. And you have to play a certain brand of baseball, a certain style, and as you mentioned, it's been that way. Tom Kelly and now Ron Gardner.
That one's a strike after the HBP. Fox sounds of the game. Alfonso Marquez said it hit Jason Repko. What was that? It got him? I'm going to go with it got him. Yeah.
Oh, is that what
That's umpire for take first base.
Is that the closed caption?
I would love to see that one in closed caption.
You know, I think Lewis probably a bit frustrated. He had some real close pitches, that weren't called strike. To Tomei and even to Hardy, that pitched before he drove out to left center.
32nd pitch of the inning is outside, and when Colby Lewis is on, you kind of touched on this. He's just kind of like Pavano, hitting those corners, working quickly. 14 pitch innings, not 32. Hard hit, base hit. Tolbert only in the lineup because Valencia is hurt. 2 runs are in, looking for 3. And it's a triple for Matt Tolbert.
Unlikely contributions from unlikely players, and that's what the Twins have received all year long. He's got triple on his mind from the get-go. Easy for him because he has the play in front of him. Doesn't have to rely on his base coach. He can make the decision himself. Hustles all the way around to third.
Well, with no Morneau and today with no Mauer. Against a guy with an ERA that's one of the top 12 in the league. They got a 5-0 lead in the first as Drew Butera takes a look, and it's 1-1 to him. Butera to left center field. Josh Hamilton's got the range. The Twins bat around and put 5 on the board against Colby Lewis here on Fox. By Taco Bell, think outside the bun. By Sprint, the Now Network. And by the new Ford Fiesta. It's a pretty big deal. Well, the Rangers have to be concerned with Colby Lewis right now. These last 2 1/3 innings, he's given up 10 runs, including 5 today in the first here in Minnesota. The Rangers will open up here with Nelson Cruz in the second inning. And we mentioned earlier, Eric, that in 8 games this year for the Rangers against the Twins, they have yet to score as many as 5 runs. They'll need to get that just to tie today. Cruz will be tagged out.
Well, Tolbert doing a nice job of ranging to his left. Cruz hustling down to first. Spins, picks up the first baseman. Kadire doing a nice job of coming off the bag, making the catch and applying the tag. Not worried about holding his foot. Knows that he's got Cruz coming down to first.
Ian Kinsler, the batter, will eyeball strike one. So you said in your scouting report, Carl Pavano must be wary of Ian Kinsler. Well, he just broke his bat. How's that?
That's not good for Ian Kinsler. It's a little different, though. You're pitching with a 5-run lead right now. And that's what's always difficult as a hitter when you fall behind as a team by this many runs. Because in the pitcher, he can go out of what you scouted, what his normal routine is. You can start screwing around out there, throwing certain pitches in certain counts. And any preparation that you've done, shoot, you could basically throw it out the window because the circumstances are a lot different now when he's got a lead.
The other thing 5-0 does, even if the Rangers do get a runner on, they're not likely to be trying to steal on Pavano. The Rangers are a team that loves to run. Pavano's a guy you can always pretty easily run against, and now that pretty much has been vaporized too. In on Kinsler, he fouls it.
Well, you've got the other issue too as well. You've got the shadows. And those will obviously play a role in today's game. Makes it difficult for the hitter.
There were no such issues at the Metrodome, were there? A second broken bat during that at bat. Well, that's getting some revenge on Kinsler, who had been 5-9 with a couple of home runs against him. That's $100 worth of lumber he just took care of. So what do you think about Target Field, Mr. Karros?
I'm impressed. I think they've done a wonderful job. As a fan, I had an opportunity to walk around the ballpark. And, oh, what a place. They've done everything right. You know, now talking to some of the hitters, you know, it's a difficult ballpark to hit at.
Certainly for power. Only 37 Twins home runs here at home as Moreland takes ball one.
You know, there are some oddities out here. Got the overhang out in right field. See that? Ball hits that, it could just shoot back into the field over the outfielder's head if he's chasing it towards the wall. Hits that, I mean, you can have an infielder make a play on a ball off that overhang.
That is Minnesota limestone out there.
I was just calling it an overhang.
Well, it's still an overhang. I just thought you'd like to know what the actual beige thing was. Minnesota limestone. And those are flowers, by the way. Two and two the count to the rookie Moreland. Now this open air masterpiece built on what used to be a parking lot behind the Target Center, home of the Timberwolves. They've somehow squeezed 13 acres of ballpark onto this site. Ground ball to Hudson. Nice play. Kadire's got it. And Pavano keeps a 5-0 lead. Bottom of the second coming up. first clean finish. It's what we do. Gorgeous afternoon in Minneapolis. Not so much for Colby Lewis right now. Trailing 5-0 and starting fresh here at the top of the order, Denard Span. Span's walk in the first inning that triggered all the action for Minnesota. By about 20 runs, Mr. Karros, the Twins have the most first inning runs in baseball. They do tend to get out of the blocks quickly.
You know, it's funny you say that. I played on a team 1992 headed by Tom Kelly, former manager of the Twins.
Name dropper. Span to left. Whoa! And it is caught by Nelson Cruz.
And Tom Kelly, before we take the field, said, boys, remember, first inning counts. First inning counts, boys. And we'd run out to the field. But, you know, it's a great point because you can make a huge impact in that first inning, going out there, scoring, taking the air out of the other team's sails. And a lot of times, you know, you just kind of, I don't want to say you're going through the motions, but you figure, hey, I got 9 innings to play. And, just let's start to get into this game. But he say, like I said, first inning counts, boys. They made it count today.
Hudson the batter, so yeah, don't just dip your toe in the water, dive in, right?
Name dropper. The big toe.
I'm going to have to teach you what name dropper means. So yeah, not quite. But. Tom Kelly here today, introducing Greg Gagne on the field, ushered into the Twins Hall of Fame. The Twins this weekend honoring their 50 greatest players of all time. Now, they do have 50 years of history to discuss. Gagne kind of an overlooked part of the 87 and 91 World Series teams. They're going to say Hudson offered at that. Two down and Kadire coming up.
Well, he offered. I think what he was trying to argue is that it hit his bat. He tipped it. Alfonso Marquez, a home plate umpire, not having any of that. Hudson goes down.
And again, Kadire brought up to third in the order today with Joe Mauer sitting out. It was fun to see Mauer out there catching the ceremonial first pitch from Greg Gagne, one number 7 to another number 7. But then he hawking somewhere, wondering, where am I? I was number 7. 2 strikes to count. Lewis thought he might have had that, did not get it. But either way, a little better tempo right now, a little better everything for Colby Lewis here in the second as opposed to the first.
Well, a better tempo, but still I think he's throwing some pitches that he feels are strikes. And Marquez is not giving them to him.
Lewis off the mound to make the play. A 1-2-3 second after all that trouble in the first. We're coming back after a word from your local Fox station. Jeff Francoeur's first at bat as a Texas Ranger right now. Brought over from the Mets just in time to qualify for the postseason roster. The Rangers indeed are in the postseason. And it's looking real good right now, up 9 games. The Rangers haven't been to the postseason since 1999. Chop to third. We talk about some good timing as the Rangers sit pretty right now, up 9. Chuck Greenberg, exactly a month ago, won an auction. I mean, an actual, real, live, not quite paddles in the air kind of auction, but he and Mark Cuban went toe-to-toe for possession of the Texas Rangers. Chuck Greenberg and Nolan Ryan's group prevailing. And Chuck Greenberg, who is basically just a regular Joe, just happens to own a ball club now.
Well, it's funny you describe him as that. Ran into him in the clubhouse, and you were kind enough to introduce me to him. And I thought he was just somebody along, with the Texas Rangers traveling out here, maybe a fan or a front office.
Somebody who won a silent auction.
Yeah, but very unassuming, but what a personable guy.
Pittsburgh native. He has already traded in his Pirates stuff for Rangers stuff.
It's a good trade.
Benji Molina, who left San Francisco to become a Ranger. And who knows, San Francisco could end up in the postseason too. They're right on the cusp.
Yeah, a lot of races still wide open.
That ball chipped in the air to right. Well, the Rangers, even though they were in bankruptcy at the time and the ownership situation was in flux, John Daniels, the GM, got real creative. Brought Benji Molina in. Cliff Lee, obviously, was the big acquisition. Cantu's been a disappointment. Doesn't have an RBI yet, but that's a big name. Same for Tristan Guzman, 2-time All-Star. I think the rest of baseball said, wait a minute, aren't you guys in bankruptcy? How are you bringing in all these former All-Stars? Andrews for the foul.
The American way. Credit. We'll get it later.
Well, the Rangers seem pretty nicely stocked as they head towards the postseason. And Minnesota obviously has gone about it a bit differently, but they too are in a good position to be playing in October. Slowly hit Hudson. Will take care of Elvis Andrews, and Pavano just keeps slicing and dicing. 7 ground ball outs already. Mr. Greenberg's team is behind by 5. Bottom of the third in Minneapolis. Jim Thomey's at the plate, and the Rangers will shift for him. They'll play Ian Kinsler way out in shallow right field. There's only one fielder between second base and third base. That's Michael Young. Thomey will homer over the shift. Number 583 upper tank here in Minneapolis. You can position those fielders anywhere you want, but unless you got them in the upper deck, that's not going to help. Jim Thomey takes a vicious cut. And he is now tied with Mark McGwire on the all-time home run list.
Well, what a free agent acquisition Jim Thomey has been for this Minnesota Twin Ball Club. 19 home runs now. 236 at-bats, 19 home runs. I was kidding him yesterday.
Delman Young will drive one, too. Right at the wall, Josh Hamilton with the bad knee and the sore back is going to make that catch right up against the wall.
Well, we talk about Josh Hamilton and his great ability as a hitter, but defensively, he may even be better. You see, crashes into that wall, can't be good for the back. Probably aggravates the knee a little bit. And that's, one of the big keys this final month for the Texas Rangers. Josh Hamilton has to be healthy. If that means sitting him a few games, resting him, I think that's on Ron Washington's docket for this last month.
J.J. Hardy will take here. And, yeah, the Rangers go to Toronto next. And Ron Washington already saying it's going to be 2 games on and 2 games off for Hamilton, who does seem winded, if nothing else, if not hurt. We're back to Thomey. The man from Limestone, Illinois. It's well beyond the limestone out there in right field. And now they're going to go check on Josh Hamilton in center. I think Ron Washington saw the same grimacing that you and I were looking at, and they're going to head out there with the trainer, Jamie Reed.
Well, the point is there's no reason for him to be out there. It's a 5-0 game. I know it's early, but to have something like that, you just say, man, I'd sure hate to lose him for a week or longer because he's playing in a game in the first week of September. And remember, he just had a couple days off with the knee injection, the Synvis, basically lubricates the knee. Came out of the game yesterday with a locked up back, and then comes back and plays a mid-afternoon game. And the thing about Josh Hamilton that makes it difficult for Ron Washington, you can't really tell him to go out there and play it safe. Josh Hamilton plays at one speed. And just like that play right there, it's a 5-0 ball game. And boom, he's going to go crash into the wall. And that's his personality.
Ranger fans will remember Rusty Greer, who never met a wall he wasn't scared of. And you wonder how much longer Rusty Greer could have played if he wasn't doing exactly that every week.
But again, that's what made Rusty Greer,
who he was,
a better player. Mm-hmm. That type of personality displayed on the field.
Hardy takes on the inside edge.
Getting back to before all that, we were talking about Jim Thomey, and I said I was kidding with him yesterday about him playing like this now. I mean, he's going to be playing for another year or two. Every year he kind of thinks, well, this is probably going to be it. But when you're having the type of success that he's having this year, shoot, that's a 2-year deal out there. He could be playing till he's 50.
There's not a single current or former teammate that wouldn't like to see that happen. Jim Thomey, one of those superstars who doesn't carry himself as such. Truly one of the nicest guys in baseball. Hardy rams one into right center field. Boy, he's had a pretty good couple of days here. A couple of hits yesterday, a couple already today. We'll take you back to Jim Thomey's home run, tying him with Mark McGwire on the all-time list.
You see, trying to tie him up, the only way you tie him up inside, you got to get that ball elevated even off the plate. This thing basically right down the middle, about belt high, maybe the inner half, but when you're belt high, much easier to get to that pitch.
Fouled by Repko. Well, the things for which Thome is most famous, walks and home runs. He's got one of each today. The home run tying him with McGuire, and the walk tying him with the big hurt, Frank Thomas, on the all-time list.
He's really put up an accumulation of numbers, as you mentioned. Maybe a better guy in the clubhouse than he is a player on the field.
Breaking ball, a strike to Repko.
You see right there just the compact swing, that left elbow tight up against the body. Most powerful position, the hips open. But see, you know, that's extension right there. And it's funny because the back elbow is bent.
5-4. Fielder's choice. They do not get the double play.
Oh, good feed. Kinsler makes a nice turn. Repko hustling down all the way.
Boy, and for Colby Lewis, knowing what we know about him, what you said, Eric, about how he just hasn't been getting run support. Already he's down 6, and there's action behind him now in that Texas Ranger bullpen.
Well, I think the thing that's scary for this Ranger ball club is now this is the second outing where he's got hit. I mean, he's not fooling anybody today.
Dustin Nippert just off the DL.
You know, and if you're talking about starting the postseason today, I think people would say with a lot of confidence that, oh, no, Lewis is our third guy. You don't want to have too many more of these types of starts leading into October.
Tolbert, who had the bases loaded triple off of Colby Lewis in the first inning, the hitter here for Minnesota. Well, and right now, if the Rangers get Cliff Lee back to being Cliff Lee, it's going to be Lee and Wilson and probably Tommy Hunter, I would think, squeezing Colby Lewis to number 4.
Well, it's funny because I've talked to a number of people, and I know you're with the ball club every day, but they had all mentioned Lewis was probably that third guy.
Get you an update on Cliff Lee, too. There's been a lot of concern about him. No concerns about Jim Thome slowing down. Just turned 40. 40's just a number, right? Michael Young. And followed by, assumably, Josh Hamilton. He is on deck. Hamilton banged up, chasing a fly ball. And having an MVP caliber season for the Texas Rangers. Young with a grounder to third. Tolbert, high throw, the tag of Young going by. Got him. Young will argue. Gary Pettis, the first base coach, will argue. But obviously to no avail. Tim Timmons with that call. Ron Washington out for an explanation now, too.
Well, I think they're arguing that Young had his foot on the base when Kadire applied the tag. Again, a nice play by Kadire. We mentioned earlier his ability to come off the bag and make the tag. So he applies it. May have got him on the back. Just real tough bang, bang. But, you know, speaking about Kadire and his ability, remember, played a number of games in the outfield, had to move to first base. You know, first base, not an easy place to play day in and day out. Hide somebody over there for a couple of games, but for a multitude of games, you become exposed. Kadire doing a great job.
Dodgers hid you there for 13 years. Here's Hamilton with a foul.
That's a good point.
Hamilton 22 for his last 50. Got 360 batting average. .407 against right-handers. Been about 30 years since somebody's hit .400 against right-hand pitching for an entire season.
Well, I think a lot of it, too, you can trace back. It coincides with when he finally deserted that toe tap with his right foot to get him going. Got rid of that. Really got hot.
Grounding out here. Today's game presented by Gillette, sponsored by DirecTV. Watch your favorite team wherever you live, only on DirecTV. By Lowe's. Lowe's, let's build something together. And by Warner Brothers Pictures, The Town, in theaters everywhere September 17th. Vladimir Guerrero. And a strike to him. That's a lot of thump in that Ranger middle of the order. Hamilton close to 100 batted in. Guerrero, same thing. And the guy on deck, Nelson Cruz, had he stayed healthy this year, well, he'd have about 100 batted in if he pro-rated himself.
See Pavano staying on the outer half, and you talk about that thump.
Just not thumping today.
No.
Carl Pavano getting a lot of ground balls. 10 ground ball outs in 4 innings. 6-0 Minnesota. who trail 6-0 in the bottom of the fourth on Fox today. Ranger manager Ron Washington will be speaking with us in just a moment. We'll get to the bottom of what's up with that. Why Elvis Andrus is out and Guzman is in. Boy, the ball just finds you, huh, when you come into the ball game. Talking to Ron Washington first, though, about the injury situation to Josh Hamilton. Hit the wall hard. We asked him, how's Josh Hamilton?
Now back to the Twins, center fielder, Denard Span.
Well, we'll have to re-rack in a moment or two. Technical difficulties, but we'll fix them. I say we. I've got nothing to do with it.
Well, I was going to say that broadcast is for those lip readers at home.
Denard Span bangs one into right field. And Colby Lewis continues to get a hit around a little bit. All right, take two with Ron Washington on Josh Hamilton and the possible injury in center field.
Well, when he hit the wall, he knocked the wind out of him, and he just was trying to catch his breath. So he says he's fine.
Wash, you got a month left. Looks like you guys are going to the postseason. How do you balance winning games and keeping your club healthy as you head into October?
Well, you know, we're at the point right now where we certainly plan on getting some guys some time off. And, you know, we already got Josh some time off. We got Guerrero some time off. And we're going to get Elvis some time off. So we're going to try to take each guy at a time and try to get that done. That's all you can do. We still want to win. We feel like whoever we have out there, we have a chance to win a ball game.
With Guzman in right now at short, what's up with Elvis Andrus?
Well, he said that his hamstring was a little tight. He's been dealing with it, and today it felt a little tighter than normal, so I didn't take a chance. I just took him out.
All right, Wash, thank you so much. Good luck. Continued success.
You bet. Thank you.
Guzman has to go get another one. Close at second base. Got the out there, but not at first. A 6-4 fielder's choice.
Batting for the Twins, first baseman, Michael Cuddyer.
Guzman doing a nice job of moving his feet, getting a quick release to Kinsler. He throws it over to first just for fun. How about that? Just as you mentioned, Guzman, get right in, get warmed up while you're out there, bud.
Guzman having spent some time on the DL, just like Ian Kinsler. Cuddyer punching one foul. Both these teams obviously needing to get healthy and stay healthy. The Rangers have a bunch of guys coming off the DL. The Twins trying to avoid the DL for a few of theirs. Guys like Danny Valencia with a hamstring issue last night. Jason Kubel is still out with a wrist. And Scott Baker, you got to really wonder what's up with Scott Baker now, too. The elbow forcing him out after 2 innings the other night.
Well, and then there's that never-ending question. Will Justin Morneau make it back this year?
Well, Cuddyer, who has been playing first base in place of Morneau, just continues to produce.
Well, he's done a nice job this year. I mean, it hasn't been the Michael Cuddyer of last year where he hit 32 home runs. He's not driving the ball, but I think a lot of that also has to do with the new ballpark. But what he's done is he's allowed, you know, this ball club to really not miss a beat in that he's played a solid first base. He's been relatively productive. You talk to a lot of guys around the organization, they would argue that Cuddyer is the team's MVP.
Mike Maddox out to talk to Colby Lewis. And next week on Fox Saturday Baseball, the pennant race continues to heat up. It's the Cardinals and the Braves, or the wild card leading Phillies taking on the Mets, the Giants, and the Padres. Coverage of Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Gillette beginning next week at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, right here on Fox. Check local listings for the game and the start time in your area. How about those Padres losing 8 straight?
And down 2-1 right now to the Colorado Rockies at the top of the fourth. But you know, those Padres, they got a heck of a schedule. A heck of a schedule the rest of the way. It's arguably the toughest in baseball. And you know, they're embarking on that with this, as you mentioned, 8-game losing streak.
They hadn't even had a 4-game losing streak all year, and suddenly they got to deal with an ocho.
An Ocho. So you bilingual.
I hit the SAT button, but just for a minute. There's a strike to Tomey. And Tomey now 5 of 7 with a pair of home runs lifetime against Colby Lewis. One of those home runs today, he destroyed it. The upper deck here at Target Field. We were mentioning earlier that the Twins as a collective don't really hit a lot of home runs here at home. It's not an easy ballpark in which to do that, but somehow Jim Tomey has not had an issue. He's got 10 of the team's 38 home runs here.
Well, this ballpark, it's just not conducive to hitting home runs. And, I mean, it's been evident this year, the lack of home runs here at home for the Minnesota Twins. I mean, at home, they have the second fewest in all of Major League Baseball. But yet, on the road, this ball club, the third most in Major League Baseball. I mentioned more reflective of the ballpark than the guy swinging the bat.
Well, ask Joe Mauer about all that. He's got one home run in essentially his hometown here, St. Paul kid. One home run all year for Joe Mauer.
I think, though, that plays into this Minnesota ball club, the way they're made up and the way they had success at home this year. I mean, they're a team that plays well defensively. The pitchers get out there, they pitch to contact. And if you take away the home run, which was prevalent in the old Metrodome, if you don't play fundamental baseball here, you're going to get beat. And that's what the Twins do extremely well, so it gives them an advantage.
Tomey cranks one to left center this time. There it goes. It is gone again. And he has passed McGuire. And he is in receipt of a hero's welcome in that dugout.
Well, I think earlier I was talking 2-year deal. I'm going to change it. That's a 3-year deal.
Harmon Killebrew is now 11 home runs behind Jim Tomey. Colby Lewis has thrown his last pitch of the day. Justin Nippert now on the mound for the Texas Rangers. Colby Lewis chased away, allowing 9 runs, 3 of them scored by Jim Thome, 2 when he hit the ball out of the yard. It is a 9-0 lead for Minnesota, and Jim Thome never did get the memo on don't mess with Texas, I guess, the last few years anyway. And he has just destroyed Texas Ranger pitching in 3 different uniforms. A couple of years ago, Eric, there was a stretch for Thome against the Rangers where he went 17 of 24 with 7 homers, 7 doubles, and 13 walks. That's 30 times on base in a stretch of 37 trips to the plate. That's impossible.
Well, and remember, not a lot of suitors for his services this offseason. Twins end up signing him for what has turned out to be a bargain basement 1.5. 20 home runs already this year. And as I mentioned, just over 250 at-bats.
Well, and he's done it all with that trademark mix of 1 part Paul Bunyan, 1 part Woody from Cheers. Just this big, powerful, friendly lummox.
And the lummox here, he's made this ballpark look small.
He has.
I mean, I think he's the only player that can say he's done that.
Outside from Nippert to Delman Young. And I think that is, we kind of talked about it already with Thome. It's that genuine Midwest kind of aw-shucks demeanor. It is not a put-on. I mean, you meet Jim Thome for the first time, you're thinking, really? Come on, nobody's that nice.
Well, you know what's funny is I talked to him, as I mentioned the other day, and he was talking about his experience last year in Los Angeles. Went over there and basically used off the bench. But he said that was a role that he had never been accustomed to. Pinch hitting role, the not playing every day. But it allowed him to learn how to prepare, to get ready for an at-bat. He's come over here. He's excelled in pinch hitting situations. When he's had an opportunity, he's produced. But he said that month really allowed him to learn some things coming off the bench and being in a different role.
2-0 the count to J.J. Hardy. And just to finish the thought on the Tominator, one-time 13th round draft pick, Mr. Karras, out of Illinois Central. And it took him a while to get going in that Cleveland organization at first. Charlie Manuel was his manager and hitting coach all through the minor leagues and sculpted what has become a guy now with more home runs than Mark McGwire. Down and outside from Nippert to Hardy, 3-1. Another former Dodger, Jason Repko, getting ready. To left field for Nelson Cruz. A 3-run homer by Jim Thome has made it 9-0 Minnesota. Pavano up 9-0 as things begin here in the top of the fifth. Ron Washington, the former Minnesota Twin, in charge of a first-place ball club, 75-59. But boy, they got to prove they can beat these Minnesota Twins. They might see them in the postseason. Well, kind of towards that end, Eric, one thing to look at is what's been going on with Cliff Lee. He was supposed to throw today in the bullpen to make sure that his back was okay. Cruz slams one into left. That's going to find the corner. Nelson Cruz on his way to second base. A leadoff double for the Rangers. And essentially, it was an aborted mission today for Cliff Lee. He had just had an injection in his back, and the thought was that the soreness from that injection more than anything prevented him from really getting it going today. Mike Maddox said, let's shut you down. We'll try to throw again tomorrow. But if that doesn't go well, he is not going to make his next start, scheduled for Toronto next week.
Well, better to err on the side of caution, as you mentioned. They played some long toss today, but never even got to the mound to throw. I'm not really sure what the urgency would be to make that start coming up on Tuesday. You know, again, they got Cliff Lee for one reason, and that's to pitch in October.
Kinsler with a ground ball into left center field, base hit. The Rangers will have runners at the corners now. So Cliff Lee winless in his last 5 starts after getting knocked out in the 5th inning last time out, allowing 7 runs on 10 hits.
Well, and I think just looking at these clips right here, everything up in the zone, and that's one of the things that he had mentioned. His sore back hadn't allowed him to have the type of control that he'd had earlier in the year. 8-3 you see with the Seattle Mariners. But he didn't say anything. And finally, he went to Ron Washington and told him, look, you know, I got to tell you, the back's been bothering me.
Moreland to ground ball. The shutout bid is over for Pavano. The Rangers open up with 3 straight hits in the 5th inning. So Mitch Moreland up from AAA about a month ago has been producing.
Nothing special here, just a ground ball through the side.
And Eric, back to your point about Cliff Lee. Obviously, he wants to be the guy that everybody thought that he was. Every 5th day, take the ball and go. But I think your point is a really good one. You want Cliff Lee being Cliff Lee about October 4th or 5th, not September 4th or 5th.
You know, it'd be a different story if the Rangers were in a situation where September, you know, is a month that they need to separate themselves.
Frank Coor gives one a lift into right center. Blocked by Denard Span. Tagging from second to third is Kinsler. That'll bring up Benji Molina.
But getting back to that thought, you know, the Rangers, you know, maybe they haven't played exceptionally well, but those in their division have played even worse. You know, so there hasn't been any pressure to have to win. And again, the Rangers, it's great they get to the postseason. I know they haven't done it since 1999, but who cares about winning the division? And I think that's the feeling in Texas. The Rangers want to make some noise in the postseason.
Molina takes outside. Well, this team has been in existence now for 39 years while in Arlington, Texas. They have one postseason win. I'm not talking about a series. I'm talking about a game. They won their very first playoff game against the Yankees in '96. Then they lost the next 3, and it was bye-bye. Then they got swept in '98, swept in '99. Haven't been back since then.
Well, and I think the acquisitions that John Daniels and the organization, you know, have made, not to just win a division.
Towards third, and looking to turn 2 on Benji Molina. They've got time to do it. A 5-4-3 slowly developing. Rangers on the board. It is 9-1. Odor Shield Antiperspirant help eliminate odor. Don't just cover it up. The Rangers and the Twins from Target Field today, and Minnesota getting a big effort from Jim Thome to lead comfortably. Josh Hamilton, who crashed into the wall earlier, is now out. Benji Molina, who has just doubled up, is out as well. Taylor Teagarden takes over behind the plate. Dustin Nippert continues on the mound. Colby Lewis lasted only 3 2/3 today. That is going to be a strike to Repko.
Jason Repko, you look at the 207 average. He had a big play last night in the Twins win. Threw out a runner at third base in the 9th inning with 1 out. The Twins leading by 1 run. But again, just another illustration of guys, when they do get an opportunity, somehow or another they produce. They contribute. And that's led to the success of this ball club this year.
It was a few years ago that Ozzie Guillen called the Twins a bunch of piranhas. Little fish that take big, pain-inflicting bites. And Twins love that. Sun getting in the way for Nelson Cruz, but he does find that baseball.
Well, and you notice he's got the sunglasses on, but tough when you're out in the field, even if the ball can get lost in the sun. And I don't care if you've got sunglasses, shit, whatever. That ball goes in the sun, it completely disappears, and it's a helpless feeling as a fielder. What you try to do is continue to focus, hope the ball comes out of the sun, and then pick it up and make the play. There are a number of times where you don't pick it up until it's too late.
Speaking of picking things up, Julio Borbon has just been dispatched to go get a beach ball. He was lying by the 377 marker out there. He had a long way to go get it, but he was the closest man to it. There's something else about not being at the Metrodome. We got sunshine and people bopping around beach balls. In the air, right field for Matt Tolbert towards that overhang. And under the overhang is Francoeur. That is a tricky part of the ballpark.
Well, you mentioned, the beach balls, the sun. It's also led to basically a younger demographic here at the ballpark. We talk about the average age now of the fans that venture here to Target, 15 years younger than what they were accustomed to Metrodome.
Butera with a foul. And yeah, when you walk around outside this ballpark before and after, it's got kind of a Wrigley Field neighborhood kind of vibe all of a sudden.
A lot of life, there's no question. You've got the restaurants and the other establishments.
I know where you're going with that. And right now the inning ends. Borbon makes the catch. It stays 9-1. More on car insurance by Denny's 2468 value menu all day, every day. And by Chevrolet, every model backed by a 100,000-mile, 5-year powertrain limited warranty. Josh Lewin and Eric Karros here in Minneapolis. Christian Guzman's first at bat today came on for Elvis Andrews, who reported a tight hamstring. That's why he's out. Josh Hamilton has also left the game. Benji Molina has left the game. Colby Lewis had to leave because he gave up 9 runs in 3 2/3. Guzman right through the legs of Pavano in the center. Your Verizon game summary for just joining us. Jim Thome has hit career home runs 583 and 584. Now has 3 career home runs against Colby Lewis. For more information on today's game and the latest in Major League Baseball news, log on to foxsports.com, powered by MSN. You know, the only other time that Colby Lewis gave up 9 runs in a game, did that with the Oakland A's 3 years ago. Jim Thome was on the other side of that as well. Had a 3-run homer in that game, too. The White Sox against the A's.
Well, we talk about Thome and the offense and what the Twins have done. I think right now they've also got to be pleasantly happy with Carl Pavano and what he's done. Remember, he lost his last 3 starts, had an ERA of 5.5.
Well, there ought to be some Yankee fans watching today saying, wait a minute, this is the same guy that in 4 years won 9 games for us? Could never stay healthy, never pitched? Got an ERA of about 3.5 this year, and unless the bottom drops out on him, he's going to win his 16th game of the year today.
You know, he's not the first guy that went to New York and struggled. A lot of expectations by others for him, and probably expectations that he placed on himself. It just makes the game more difficult to play.
There were large expectations off of that 2004 season, no doubt about it. 18 wins, dating starlets. I mean, it was pretty much high tide for Carl Pavano, and then he just could not stay healthy in New York. Young checks his swing, and he is on. 2 on for the Rangers here in the 6th inning. Time for a DirecTV game break. The White Sox are chasing at the Minnesota Twins. They've now got Manny Ramirez. And Manny Ramirez had a hand in this one today. A 3-1 victory for Chicago. And a game rained out, or actually threatened rain off of Hurricane Earl last night in Boston, so a day-night doubleheader. First at bat for Julio Bourbon. Pounds one to the alley in right center field. Hitting where Josh Hamilton was in the order. That is Hamilton-esque. He's going to stop at second with a 2 RBI double. And now it's 9-3. Now Guzman in for Andrews. Bourbon in for Hamilton. Both those guys have hits here in the 6th inning.
Well, this pitch just up and out over the zone. Starts over the middle part of the plate. Heads outward. Bourbon just lays the barrel of the bat on the ball. Drives it to right center.
Then a chance for that 100th RBI of the year for Vlad Guerrero. Pavano's not even at 70 pitches right now. And the Twins bullpen could use a break. Pavano's the right guy to have out there, you figure.
Well, and if you're sitting at home and you're saying, oh, man, he's getting hit right now. Oh, man, getting a little concerned. Well, you have to remember, with a 9-0 lead, with 9-1, he's got to just throw strikes. That's a great play by Tolbert.
And Bourbon, we thought for sure he was going to be able to get to third. That's, well,
That's bad base running.
Yeah.
That's all there is. That's not anything other than that.
And boy, Bowen had a poor choice yesterday out in the field as well. Got himself a talking to by Gary Pettis.
Well, and that's the thing we talked about at the top of the show. Got to play smart. I mean, this plays in front of you. There's no thought process right there. These are the types of things that when you get into October can change the complexion of a series.
Borbon went to the clubhouse immediately. You probably know what he's going to hear eventually from Gary Pettis about what he should have done instead, but he just doesn't want to hear it right now.
Well, you know, I don't think nobody's going to go to him right now because he's emotional, probably in there banging some things right now. And it happens out there on the field. It's almost like, they call it a brain cramp, but you just, for whatever reason, your body's doing something that your brain's saying, what do we got going here? But it happens. But when it happens over and over, that's when there's an issue.
Slowly hit. Hudson gets the one out there. Nelson Cruz safely across the fielder's choice. And I guess on that topic, Eric, when the Rangers the last several years have been 9 or 10 games back instead of 9 or 10 games up, I think there's been a longer leash when it comes to, all right, hey, we're just all learning together now. Not a big deal, but I think the expectation has changed now. They are a team almost definitely going to the playoffs now, and they want to make sure these things don't keep happening.
Well, again, I would challenge anybody to say that the Rangers are satisfied with just winning the division. They're not. If they don't do something in the postseason, I'm not even talking about winning a game. I'm talking about having a competitive series and winning a series. They're going to deem this season a disappointment. And things like that, a play like that, mental mistakes, those are unacceptable when you get to the postseason, when you get to this part of the year. You're going to make physical errors. No question. Mental mistakes should not happen.
Kinsler, a fly ball to center, dead in his tracks as Denard Span. 9-3 Minnesota on Fox. Texas Rangers has not played in a postseason game yet. And as the Rangers occasionally have a lapse or two, I would think that a guy like Michael Young wants to make sure that gets tightened up.
Well, it's got to be frustrating for him because you don't play your entire career to get to the postseason and then just 3 and out. Then you say, man, are you kidding me? And that's why when a guy makes a mental mistake or they're not playing the game the right way, it's not just about that individual. It's about the whole team. Those plays impact the other 24, 25 guys in the ball club. So it's your responsibility to go out there, be prepared, because you're not playing for yourself. You're playing for Michael Young.
Rich Harden is now on the mound for Texas. Now, he was supposed to be, if not the number 1, the number 2 starter for these guys. Feldman and Harden were supposed to be the powerful right-handed 1-2 punch for Texas. There are now long men in that Texas Ranger bullpen instead.
Harden had a nice start in his last outing. When you look at the season, I think what's been a struggle for the Ranger ball club is they just don't know what they're going to get from Rich Harden. And he could really be taxing on your bullpen. He's only given you 4 or 5 innings. I think maybe now this role, come out of the bullpen, let it all go for an inning or two, and see how that works.
Again, that's the Sun Field right now, left field. Denard Span flies to Cruz. Orlando Hudson coming up, turned a double play a couple innings ago out there. And we'll show that to you in just a moment.
Yeah, and I think when we take a look at this is what I'm talking about, being a smart player and knowing the situation. Orlando Hudson gets out of the way. He knows the type of runner he has going down to first base. Then he makes the play. He doesn't try and turn it, jump over, make it. He knows the situation before it has taken place. And that's in contrast to what Bourbon did running the bases for the Texas Rangers.
Hudson towards short for Guzman. Now we'll make that play to bring up Michael Kadire. That's become kind of a thematic thing, I guess, today, talking about the attention to detail, the nuances, the little things. And not to beat it to death, but if you follow the Minnesota Twins, that's who they are and what they do. They assemble gritty teams that are fundamentally sound. Some would say they overachieve. I think the Twins get sensitive to that designation sometimes. They kind of like their talent, but...
Well, I think when you say overachieve, you may even get some on the coaching staff that would say, hey, we overachieve. Because if you look at just the pure talent, athletic talent, maybe they don't match up as well, but they play the game as well, if not better, than some of those ball clubs that have, quote unquote, more talent. It's called baseball IQ. And if you don't have it, it can lead to a lot of other issues. You play the game the right way, it can be a very simple game.
Both these managers, Gardenhire and Washington, are very much with you on that.
But it's one thing to have a manager that likes that style of play. You've got to have the players that can execute that style of play.
Fly ball again to left field for Nelson Cruz to deal with. And yeah, he will squint to make that catch. We'll come back after a word from your local Fox station. by Gillette. Nice to have you with us in Minneapolis today. Along with Eric Karros, Josh Lewin. The Rangers have scored the last 3 runs here, but Minnesota with a quick strike 9 today. And Carl Pavana, the beneficiary. All those runs coming early from his offense. Mitch Moreland will be followed by Jeff Francoeur and Taylor Teagarden, top of the 7th inning. Well, the Twins 43 and 23 at their new digs here in downtown Minneapolis. Beautiful park, and the fans just keep turning out. 40,000 plus again today.
Well, you mentioned their home record. They've won 14 of their last 17 here at home.
A lot for Ron Gardenhire to be happy about, including the veteran DH Jim Thome, who's had a 2-homer day. We caught up with Mr. Gardenhire not too long ago, asked him about Jim Thome.
Yeah, you know what? Every time he walks up, it's kind of fun to watch him. He put a big swing on that one. He's a fun guy.
Talk about the season you've had, the contributions. Fox last night, you get Tolbert out here today. Magical season right now.
Well, you know what? It's a long season. You got people beat up, and that means other people have to step up. And our organization is, we've developed some pretty good ones, and they give you an opportunity to move people around when people go down. So Michael Kadire, guys like that have really stepped up big for us.
Everybody says don't scoreboard watch, Gardy. Can you avoid doing that? The White Sox are playing pretty well, too.
No, you can't. It's the scoreboard's so big here, it blares in your face. So it's just everywhere. That's part of the fun of it. And you know what? You just try to. We always tell ourselves just do our thing and go about it. But everybody looks at scoreboards.
Cool, Ron. Thank you so much. Continued success.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
All right.
Jeff Francoeur's first game as a Texas Ranger. He's going to pop one up near Pavana. 2 up, 2 down.
Well, it's funny that you talk about the scoreboard watching it. And I remember as a player, anytime that we were in a September race, absolutely we watched the scoreboard.
Didn't people tell you not to, though?
I mean, but for what? That's what I didn't get. There were times that, we'd scoreboard watch, and, as a group when I was in Chicago, we actually went out to a place as a team and watched an Astro-Brewer game late in the season. I mean, all those sorts of things. If you don't pay attention, I didn't pay attention. Oh, that makes me better. Well, what is that? It's the most ridiculous thing I've heard.
Teagarden with a foul. Can you do that voice again? That was pretty good. Or is that it?
That's it.
No.
That's a one time. You miss it, you got to wait till next weekend for the next telecast.
That's why we have DVR. We can go back and hear that voice all day long. Is that kind of like curmudgeonly old man voice? Is that what that was?
Not sure what that was. I'm going to drop that on my kids tomorrow.
The next Fox animated show, they're going to come and get you. They have some guy that just wants everybody to stay off their lawn. That will be good casting for you. Rip and a miss by Teagarden. Carl Pavana coasting 9-3 at the 7th inning stretch in Minnesota. and beer to keep your edge. By Verizon, the signal is yours. Wield it to transmit anything you want. Verizon. And by Napa. Napa know-how. There's a saying here in this great state, Minnesota nice. Be gentle, be kind. And as we talked about Jim Thome today, I guess that's a pretty good fit right there. We've talked about how everybody seems to love Jim Thome. They're loving him even more today with a pair of home runs and a walk.
I'm guessing there's one person that is not a big fan of Jim Thome.
Colby Lewis?
You got it. What a guesser you are.
No. We will have to go on password if that ever is a possibility. Thome now 9th all-time on the Major League home run list. And Frank Robinson, beware. Jim Thome is coming for you next on that all-time homer list. 2 home runs away now from Frank Robinson. New third baseman in the game, by the way, Alex Cora in for Michael Young. We'll see if Thome's got a 3-homer game in him. Nope. Got a 2-walk game, though. Well, that is vintage Jim Thome. Homers and walks. We got 2 of each today. He will lead to a nice ovation. And Trevor Plouffe into the game instead. And Eric, the story goes that when Jim Thome was 8 years old, he marched into the kitchen of their downstate Illinois home and he said to his mom, he said, "Ma, I am never going to go to work. I'm going to play big league baseball." That was a pretty good call.
Is that all it takes?
Just
go in at 8.
Just proclaim it.
This is what I'm doing. I don't know what everybody else is doing, but this is what I'm doing.
Well, you got to work, though, too. Delvin Young, the batter. And, yeah, Jim Thome, from all accounts, was a guy who, as a kid, would stand in the family driveway for hours. He'd toss up rocks, bat them across the street into a field. Natural talent for sure. That helps if you're going to declare at age 8, here's what I'm going to do. But you got to keep working.
Well, I think you mentioned it earlier. You take a look at the all-time rankings. His work with Charlie Manuel in the minor leagues.
Cora cross diamond.
Really played a huge role in his development as a hitter, as a power hitter. And even to this day, when I talk to Charlie when we're doing Philadelphia Philly games, he'll reference the time. Well, when I was working with Jim.
Well, I mean, that's a prize pupil right there. Manuel's the guy who got Jim Thome to change his stance. The one that got him into that habit of getting ready by extending his bat out in front of him, kind of shoulder high like he does. And that's a great story, too. Charlie Manuel and Jim Thome apparently were sitting there together watching the Robert Redford character do just that in the movie The Natural. And Charlie Manuel said, "Hey, why don't you do what Redford does today? Try that." And that was, 14, 15 years ago. He's still doing it.
Hey, thank God he wasn't watching Major League and Willie Mays Hayes. He had a whole different career.
Or Caddyshack 2. Hardy having a big afternoon. A base hit into right. That's 5 hits in the series now for J.J. Hardy. Repko comes up next. And folks, next week, the NFL regular season kicking off. Doubleheader action on Fox. And NFL's fantasy football season is soon upon us. Fox Fantasy Football featuring new draft rooms, mock drafts, draft kits, and still 100% free. Play it today at foxsports.com/fantasy. The Rangers about to hold their fantasy football draft as a team. They'll do that in Toronto. The Twins players already wheeling and dealing. I think every big league team has at least one fantasy league going. A strike to Repko. Fouled right back. I need to ask you what teams used to do for unity, you know, to kind of feel that camaraderie before there was such a thing as fantasy football. Because now when you're just kind of talking smack with the guys, it seems to always be fantasy football now. You guys had to really reach back in the day.
Yeah, back then there was nothing to do before fantasy football came around.
You were just all nice to each other all the time.
Well, there was nowhere to go. You couldn't get together for anything.
Well, Michael Kadire mic'd up for our pleasure. He was talking some fantasy football before the game. Let's listen in.
Yeah, I'm in two of them, two fantasy leagues. We drafted one of them already, and my next one's on Tuesday. I had the third pick, so I got Maurice Jones-Drew. Yeah, naked mole rats cut Des Bryant for that defense. When Pekin Ducks got in front of me and snatched him up, I was mad.
Matt Tolbert into the alley. What a day for Matt Tolbert. He's going to end up with a career-high 5 runs batted in and 2 triples today. Well, if your last name begins with T, stand up and take a bow. Tomey has 4 runs batted in today. And Tolbert's got 5.
Tolbert having a nice day. Again, it gets back to that whole concept of different people contributing. Valencia goes down. He's been phenomenal over at third base for the Twins. And Tolbert gets the opportunity today. And man, you mentioned, what a day. 5 RBI, 2 triples.
It's only been 30 years since a Minnesota Twin has had 2 triples in a game. And it was done against the Texas Rangers.
There you see Valencia right there. A little tightness in the hamstring. Really been swinging a hot bat. Playing a nice third base.
Albuterra knocking one foul. I misspoke, by the way. 3 is the triples record for one game for the Twins. That's right, Denard Span has already tripled up the Storm this year. Ken Landreau had 3 triples in one game against the Rangers 30 years ago. It gives Tolbert something to shoot for down the stretch here today. That one getting away from Teagarden. 12-3 Minnesota. Now, the Rangers, not too long ago, would give up totals like 12 runs in a game with alarming frequency. That has not been happening here in 2010, but it has happened today.
Yeah, that one, Teagarden just gets lazy there, doesn't get the glove down. Now, look, you don't like to see it. You can understand it, though, that the game is a blowout. The Rangers have a lot of their non-starters in. You can understand it, but you don't like to see it. You know, and somehow or another, when you are playing in these situations, you're an athlete out on the field. You've got to play it or create a situation in your mind that keeps you involved, keeps you focused.
The Terra lofty one up in the air for Nelson Cruz. Again, shielding his eyes. Makes the catch. 3 runs have scored. It is all Minnesota today.
A wild pitch, but as you can see, watch this. This is all glove. Glove doesn't catch it. I mean, this should be a pass ball right here. For some reason, scored a wild pitch. But again, that's that whole complacency, and you start to lose focus in these types of games. Understandable, not really acceptable.
Guzman, the batter, is down 0-2. A 12-3 lead for Minnesota. No Morneau, no Mauer, no Kubel, no problem. And now a new second baseman to talk about, Alexei Casilla. You know, Eric, it's funny. Thome instead of Mauer today to DH. Ron Gardenhire didn't want Mauer to catch again today. 22 innings in the last, about 40 hours or so. But he had a choice, Mauer or Thome. He chose Thome. Tolbert is in there because Danny Valencia tweaked a hamstring. And those two guys, Thome and Tolbert, 9 runs batted in today. That is literally the difference in the game.
Well, Gardy making the right choices. And I think if Mauer would have been in, Thome would have had a case for it because he has had success against Lewis.
Chopper to third, Tolbert, and foul ground.
You know, we talk about Tolbert and Thome and the offense today, but again, getting back to what Pavano has done for this pitching staff today. Now, granted that they got a little bit of a breather yesterday, but still, after using 8 pitchers in a 13-inning game on Thursday, I mean, the pitching staff really running on fumes. And for Pavano to come out, to eat up innings, to give the bullpen a rest, I mean, that's arguably just as important as what this offense has done today.
Hard hit and right under Casilla. Well, Guzman off the bench goes 2 for 2.
For me, I think Casilla probably could have moved his feet a little better to either get in front of it or to give him a better opportunity to backhand that ball. Ball was hit hard, kind of laid down on it, played that into a base hit.
Well, the first at bat for Alex Cora this afternoon. The Rangers have grabbed away a couple of New York Mets. Alex Cora and now Jeff Francoeur. Again, Casilla comes close, but again he can't grab it. The Rangers have 2 on. The shot troops are coming through here. The starters weren't doing much, but off the bench, Borbon and Cora and Guzman. The Rangers have a long way to go, but they do have 2 on.
Right, but again, though, you don't want to place too much on that as far as saying, well, boy, these guys are really swinging the bats well, or, hey, Pavano's getting hit a little bit here. Pavano's only job right now is to throw strikes. He doesn't need to be hitting corners or making the ball do certain things. He's got to lead 12-3. You talk about Pavano and what he's done with his staff today. We just saw that graphic where you had all of those 8 pitchers that had to throw on Thursday evening.
Well, this is the right guy to have out there, averaging 14 pitches per inning this year coming in, second to Cliff Lee. Borbon, who doubled earlier, is quickly behind 0-2. And again, for the Rangers, in prior years, a run total like 12 for the opposition wasn't that unusual. This is only the 2nd time this season that they've gotten, well, actually the 3rd time. They allowed 12 and 1 a game 13-12, but that's a low total, talking about Labor Day weekend. And the Rangers have not had a lot of games like this. Borbon slashing it towards short. J.J. Hardy has got it. Both these teams trying to get back to the postseason. The Twins have been there recently. The Rangers have not. Catch all the action of the Major League Baseball postseason on Fox and TBS. The excitement will start October 6th with the Division Series on TBS. Outside to Vlad Guerrero, and again the Rangers in great shape, even though they're getting destroyed today. The Twins in good shape, not great shape. They still have to go to Chicago to play 3 against the White Sox head-to-head. Their lead on the Sox right now, 3.5.
You know, I'll tell you, though, why the Twins are in decent shape. Because after that game Thursday evening, where they had to use 8 pitchers, it looked like this weekend could be tough. And you see where both of the clubs are that are competing for the AL Central, the Twins, the White Sox. 3 games back in the loss column are the Chicago White Sox. And their issues have been really more on the pitching side. But getting back to why, you know, these 2 games, last night and today, so important for the Twins. They come into this series, you know, having to bump one of their starters, their bullpen decimated, all because of Thursday night's game. You call up some kids that weren't even on the team on Thursday.
Guerrero with a rifle shot towards center. Back goes Denard Span at the wall, makes the catch. Well, he plays a mean center field out there.
Did a nice job of running that down. But getting back to coming into last night's ball game, the Twins are starting 2 kids that weren't even on the team on Thursday against a Texas Ranger offense. You know, they end up squeaking out a victory. They get a good pitching performance. Here they are ahead. There's Matt Fox right there. Did a great job yesterday. Pavano saying, Gardy, I got it. I'm staying in. I'm going to finish this thing here through the 8th.
Well, and out in the bullpen, you got a guy that would sure love to come on in. That's Rob Delaney, who is looking to make his Major League debut. Do it on national TV today, but Pavano wants at least one more batter here anyway.
Well, as I said, I think that the offensive performance, great, but what Pavano did to help this staff, that's going to impact this Twin ball club for the next couple of games. It's not just about today.
Well, in the meantime, the Rangers, you flip that, it goes the other way, right? Colby Lewis only got through 3 2/3. They've been saved by Nippert and Hardin today in long relief. Nelson Cruz, the batter, 1 for 3 with a double. Off speed for Bonnie. 37 out of 107 pitches have been out of the strike zone. That's it. Towards third, the Minnesota Twins and Carl Pavano very much in control today. 12-3 our score. The bottom of the 8th coming up. Eliminate odor, don't just cover it up. By Michelin, a better way forward. And by State Farm, with 17,000 agents, we've got the best lineup in the game. Carl Pavano's been eating up innings all season for Ron Gardenhire, and he chomped his way through 8 of them today, leading 12-3, and I guess that's it for him.
Yeah, Pavano, a great job today. An economical 108 pitches. But granted, his offense gave him that early lead, which makes it much easier for any pitcher to attack an offense when he's got a cushion. But he answered the bell and did a great job.
Pedro Strop will come out for the Texas Rangers now to pitch in the bottom of the 8th inning. He was a position player in the Colorado Rockies organization, made the switch to pitcher just a few years ago. And for the Twins, the top of their order, Denard Span. Well, you saw Ron Gardenhire there in the dugout. And I'll put it to you, Eric Karras, with all that Ron Gardenhire's accomplished, chance for 6 division titles in the last 9 years, he has never won Manager of the Year. And he might have a tough time winning it this year because the guy in the other dugout, Ron Washington, looks like the favorite.
I think he's a very underrated manager, doesn't get the accolades that he deserves. See Wash right there. We just saw Ron Gardenhire. But I also think that people always expect the Twins to be competitive. which, you know, I'm not so sure that that's always fair, because that's difficult to do, to be competitive year in and year out. They just take it for granted that, oh, okay, well, the Twins, they'll probably compete. And then when they do win the division, it's not such a surprise.
Well, it's kind of like Gonzaga in college basketball. I mean, you know, everybody's talked about them as these small market darlings, but every year they win, so you expect them to do it again. Span, safe at first. On base 3 times to the top of the order today, Denard Span.
Well, this ball not hit particularly hard. Therefore, Guzman has to wait for the ball to get to him, or I should say it takes time to get to him. With the speedy Denard Span, not going to have an opportunity to get him at first. Beats it relatively easily.
Strike one to Alexei Casilla. And Eric, regarding these Texas Rangers at Minnesota, they have yet to beat the Twins in this stadium so far here in 2010. Doesn't look like they would match up against each other in the first round of the playoffs, but it's possible that the ALCS could be Rangers Twins, and I would think psychologically the Rangers would love to prove they can win here just once.
Well, I think, were you mentioning to me, correct me if I'm wrong, the Twins have not won on the road at New York or Tampa Bay?
The Rangers haven't, yeah.
The Rangers, excuse me, that's what the Rangers have not won. And those are 3 teams that they could conceivably meet.
Yeah, at Minnesota, looking like 0-5 now. At Tampa Bay, 0-3. At New York, 0-3. So against those potential playoff teams on the road, they're 0-11.
Yeah, and you know, again, those are things that we in the media will bring up during the postseason.
Right. It's not that the Rangers can't do it, but unless they get one win here in Minnesota, they're not going to New York again, they're not going to Tampa Bay again. I'll predict right now that that's going to be the lead sentence as they head into the postseason. Well, they haven't beaten these playoff teams on the road. Well, if you win tomorrow, I know it's, you know, all you are now is 1-12 or whatever, but I don't know if that becomes the lead story anymore.
Well, and what happens is it takes a life of its own. And as a player, you have to field questions. You have to constantly answer the same question. And after a while, it becomes tedious. And the one time you respond, you know, without saying the cliche, well, I know it was a tough season, but it doesn't affect us now. The one time geez, I'm starting talking like a player. The one time you don't do that, that's the one quote that's going to go in the paper. It's going to go across the media. It's going to go everywhere. And that's why things like that, you know, are important. It is important to win tomorrow, just so you don't have that 0-12.
2-1 the count to Kadire.
How do you like my different voices today?
You're like Hank Azaria over here. You are Mr. Voices.
I'm inspired by that the entourage right now. Where Drama's getting his own cartoon character.
I know. Well, you're growing out the goatee. You like Johnny Drama so much. It's good. I hope he does pick that up too. I would love to see that in production. Anyway, 3-1 to Kadire. Is down and outside. Next week, the NFL regular season kicking off. We mentioned doubleheader action here on Fox. The Panthers and the Giants at the new Meadowlands. Lions, Bears, Falcons, Steelers. Game 2. A lot of you will see the Packers and the Eagles. It all starts with the Ford Fox NFL pregame show brought to you by the all-new Ford Edge. Drive one. Check local listings for the game in your area. All right, your fearless NFL prediction right now, man of 1,000 voices.
I'm going with my hometown favorite, my boyhood favorite, San Diego Superchargers.
Well, and you can sing.
San Diego Chargers.
Not well, but you can sing.
Man, I remember that. The Bolts. My man Rivers.
Trevor Plouffe will bat for the first time. That's one you could have fun with for many voices. Plouffe.
Out of California.
batting where Jim Thome was. Well, what a day for Thome. Passing Mark McGwire on the all-time home run list. Passing Frank Thomas on the all-time list for most walks.
You know, the thing that's interesting, though, about Thome is, you know, he's not just one of those guys that, you know, an older guy that you're going to put in here and there and maybe you hope to strike lightning. I mean, this guy is legitimately a problem for other ball clubs. I mean, this guy's putting up numbers that, you know, you extrapolate him over a season. Wow.
And he's such a fun player to watch. We were talking earlier about how he approaches every at bat like it's a high noon showdown with that high bat and the pointing out, just like the natural used to do. Plouffe is, yes indeed, down on strikes. Pedro Strop, the fourth Ranger pitcher today. Colby Lewis started, did not get out of the fourth inning, and mostly because of Jim Thome. We got close to 70 degrees here in Minneapolis today. And the sun playing hide and seek with the clouds all day. It's just been a gorgeous afternoon. And as great Kent Herbeck himself said, baseball was meant to be played outside. And here we go.
Well, it's easy to say when you got weather in the 60s, 70s, a little bit of sunshine. When you're talking 30s, as when outside, not so good.
Well, the last game potentially of the World Series is here in early November. It's possible the Twins and Rangers will be the ALCS, and what a difference that would be, whoever wins that. You're either talking November baseball in Arlington, Texas, or in Minneapolis, Minnesota, or obviously New York or Tampa Bay.
Well, that's when you see if maybe you could rent the Metrodome for a few ball games.
Game 5 would actually be here because the National League, as you probably saw on Fox, won the All-Star game. Game 6 and 7 in the National League parks. Rangers and Twins go to the 9th. Minnesota comfortably on top. days away from turning 26, and he's going to make his big league debut right now. An undrafted graduate of St. John's University. And Twins fans will perk up here in St. John's. That's where Frank's Sweet Music Viola applied to his college trade. But how nice for Delaney to come into a game that's 12-3. He's got some serious wiggle room here.
Well, a little different situation than Fox had last night, starting a game, starting an important game, knowing that he was going to have to be out there for a while to save the staff.
Rob Delaney was at AAA Rochester 2 this year, going 7-9, an ERA of 4.73. Kinsler greets him rudely, jacking it to left. It is gone. The first big league batter he faces takes him out. And it's coming back. Told you it was like Wrigley Field around here now. All right, deep breath. Delaney will get a chance to try again now with Mitch Moreland. Kinsler, a 30-30 guy a year ago, and he was healthy.
Well, and that's why manager Ron Washington still has him in the game. Kinsler been on the DL, just come off, needs to get at bats, get his timing down. Anything that you see from Kinsler today, displaying some offense, is positive for this Ranger ball club.
Well, you can almost hear those butterflies flapping in the stomach of Delaney from up here. Delaney having left behind a Rochester team that's on a 12-game losing streak. And, you know, the Twins for years, Eric, they could always point to the pipeline. AA and AAA, the players were coming up off of winning teams. This year, it was a wipeout. Their AA and AAA teams this year are a combined 90 and 192. That's tough to do.
Well, it's what happened. You know, you guys get up to the big leagues. Maybe some guys that are up here that normally wouldn't be up here. Sometimes you have to just go through that replenishing period.
There's a lot to trust in terms of where it's going with the brain trust here in Minnesota. But at New Britain and at Rochester this year, some really tough times. Outside to Jeff Francoeur. Of course, so much of what is here now for the Minnesota Twins is a product of AA and AAA. We've seen this afternoon Matt Tolbert with a breakout 2 triple, 5 RBI game. These fans are trying to get behind young Mr. Delaney. After Carl Pavano went 8 for Minnesota today. Delaney gets a ground ball into left center, a base hit. The first is a Ranger for Francoeur. Time now for a DirecTV game break. The only way to watch every MLB game in HD. Call 1-800-DIRECTV. That's the pitcher, Travis Wood, helping his own cause, as they say. A 5-1 lead. St. Louis only 5-13 head-to-head against the Reds this year.
Well, and that was against Adam Wainwright, who all of a sudden just cannot buy a victory. Had a couple of poor outings in a row.
And the Reds into that game with a 7-game lead on St. Louis. And a strike to Teagarden. Teagarden struck out against Pavano to end the seventh. And that was the first strikeout all day at that point for Pavano. It took 27 batters to get the first one, but that's what Pavano's pretty much about, right?
Well, Pavano's not a strikeout guy, just a guy that stays away from hard contact when he's successful. Broke a number of bats today, induced a number of ground balls, and again, we get back to the Minnesota defense. Tops in the American League. You want to pitch to contact.
Kinsler broke 2 bats in one trip to the plate earlier today. There's a busted bat. They get the one out at second base. It's a fun weekend here in Minneapolis. They've been honoring the 50 greatest Twins of all time. Greg Gagne went into their Hall of Fame today. It's a Fall River, Massachusetts native who's coaching high school ball back in New England now. And on a day that the 2 triples were hit by Tolbert, Twins fans might remember Gagne once had 2 inside the park home runs in one game.
There's Gags. Look at him there. Looks like he could still play. I'll tell you, he came over to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Was fortunate to play alongside of Gags. I'll tell you, the guy reminded me a lot of Gumby. You remember that character? Could just bend and put his body in all different sorts of positions to make plays. What a great guy. What a competitor.
Ground ball towards second base. The Minnesota Twins with a 12-4 victory today over the Texas Rangers. Delaney gets his feet wet in the big leagues. Pavano wins his 16th. And on a day that Maurer didn't play, Morno's on the DL, Kubel is out, Jim Thome and Matt Tolbert did the heavy lifting.
Yeah, Thome and Tolbert put a hurting on the Rangers today. Carl Pavano comes out, saves that bullpen. Excellent job, and the Twins just keep on rolling.
And the Rangers still don't have a win in Minneapolis this year. We will wrap things up from Minnesota right after these messages from your local Fox station.